Roger taught me about the $20,000 rule. Now, with inflation, we may need to make it $100,000. But this was back in the 80s, and Roger explained to me the $20,000 rule. What is that? He said, Rob, if you're going to go to an event, if you're going to go to a concert or a sporting event, get the best seat you can get. He says, because to get into the building is going to cost you $100, but to get to the best seat, it's going to maybe cost you $180. He says, if you can't afford the $180, don't go. Save the money so the next time you can. He goes, but to get $100 in the building and then $80, he says, that $80 is what makes all the difference.
Wow.
Right? He told me if you go to a restaurant, and I remember I went to the Chart House in Westwood, and I ordered the cheapest thing on the menu. And he told me that was really stupid. And I said, what do you mean? He said, Rob, if you go to the Chart House, you want to go for what they're good for, right? So if you can't afford to order what they're good for, then just save your money and just go once and do it right. He says, that's the difference. And when we talked about clothes, he told me, you can buy 3 cheap ties, or you can buy 1 good tie.
One good tie.
And that 1 good tie is going to last forever. He says, Rob, if you add up all the $80, $40, $20, in the span of your life, that'll be $20,000. That $20,000 is what will make all the difference.
Right.
And you can ask all my friends. They're always asking me, how is it that you do all these incredible things, all these things? It's because of the $20,000. And again, it's probably $100,000. But it's the philosophy, right? It's the philosophy. All right. Shout out to the Fat Boys, by the way. I don't know how I got a Fat Boy sweatshirt. I didn't have to bring it for me. That's because I'm an honorary Fat Boy. I'm actually the actual Fat Boy, I guess.
Join the club, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Roger Milstein was my dad's best friend. And anyone who knew my dad, Mitch, you knew my dad, and anybody who knew Roger, shares the eternal mystery of how that friendship could possibly came to be. Roger was a fitness guy before it was cool. Right? He was jogging, exercising, eating healthy to the point where even towards the end, he proudly never needed medicines for blood pressure or cholesterol like the rest of us mortals, right? But for those of you here, there was a time when jogging and all that was considered crazy, right? I mean, and my dad came from that generation. My dad was the exact opposite. Drinking and smoking and overeating, and that led to his early demise at the age of 59. Where Roger was suave and well-dressed and genteel, my dad was loud and boisterous, rude, and decked out in ruffle-fronted shirts and Mickey Mouse ties. They were the original odd couple. And how the two of them became such good friends, and they spent so much time together, and they had so many adventures. Despite their stark differences, it's legendary, really, and perhaps something we need a little more of in our world today. Roger came into my life in 1974 when I was 12. And through him, I met his family, and I was introduced to a lifestyle, the West Side Los Angeles style, that was completely foreign to a kid like me growing up on the east side of LA. He took genuine interest in me, and he opened doors that I never knew existed. He arranged for me at the age of 15 to be the first person to interview Coach John Wooden after his retirement.
Wow.
And I interviewed him for my high school newspaper. And I scooped even the Sports Illustrated reporter that was sitting in Wooden's office. I didn't really understand what was happening. I was this 15-year-old kid. And I remember the Sports Illustrated, John Wooden came out and he said to this Sports Illustrated guy, he said, I'm sorry, I need to meet with Mr. Maitland here of the Whittier High School Cardinal #1. And I don't know if it was Rick Riley, but it was somebody like that from Sports Illustrated. And he stood up and he shook my hand. He said, "Son, you scooped me." As I struggled with being the first person in my family to go to college, Roger mentored me and pushed me to compete and win a full-ride scholarship at our beloved UCLA.
Yay.
And we used to laugh that Roger became my haberdasher. He was such a fine-dressed man, wasn't he? I mean, he really knew
Always.
how to dress, right? I'll never forget, Roger and I had gone on a run together, which I hated. And we were changing in the UCLA men's gym. And all of a sudden, this tall guy, imposing figure, is walking by me, stops, and he turns, he looks at Roger. It wasn't the other way around. A racetrack, and Roger, he loved to play the horses, and he was pretty good at it. He tried to teach me how to decipher the intricacies of the daily race sheets, and we placed a $12 bet on the pick six. For those of you who don't know what that is, that means you had to pick the winner in 6 straight races. Very difficult to do. And we managed to win the first 5 races. First place.
Yeah.
We were gonna win. And Roger was jumping up and down. We were hugging each other, hooting and hollering, and suddenly Santa needed a photo finish. Roger turned me right there. We're gonna lose. Sure enough, we lost $180,000. Now you think about that on a $12 bet back in 1983, right? By a nose, I mean, by a whisker. But it was such a thrill, I'll never forget it. Roger always made me feel special. We spent countless hours together, wargaming business strategies and talking through the many challenges of life. He made me the man I am today. He was the father I always wished I had. In preparation for today, I've done a lot of thinking about being a father and about being a friend. Roger was both to me. He was my father and my best friend. And now as a father myself with 5 kids ranging from 12 to 25, I'm acutely aware of how difficult it is to be both. It's nearly impossible. With Roger's help, I long ago forgave my dad for what I saw as his failings. And I often think of the Carly Simon line, "Children hate their parents for the things they're not, and they hate themselves for what they are." And perhaps that is true. And maybe there is some kind of deep-seated need within our species, and perhaps something good about wanting to tussle with our parents, to fight with our parents. I tease my kids there was a stage where I embarrassed them all by just simply breathing. Maybe some of you know what I'm talking about. But for me and for so many of you here today, Roger was able to pull off both roles, mentor and friend, with ease. We all know Roger loved John Wooden and had a special relationship with him. Coach Wooden said, "I think parenting and coaching or teaching are the same thing, and they are the 2 most important professions in life." He also believed that kindness, respect, friendship, and loyalty were fundamental to achieving greatness in all aspects of life. And didn't Roger embody that philosophy?
Yes, absolutely.
Roger was loyal to a fault. He was kind, generous, and forgiving. He inspired so many of us here today to strive for personal excellence and positive relationships. His impact is immeasurable, and through all of us here will be reflected for many, many years. I challenged Alex this morning. Roger developed this network of all of us. We can't let this dissipate. We need to keep it together. And so, Alex, I'm challenging you to be the Roger of the immediate future. Thanks, you big girl. Sheila Roger many times confided to me that finding you and marrying you was the greatest blessing of his life. I want to thank you because just like Roger, you were always there for me and for him. You were so very, very special. Roger worried for me about finding a true life partner, and it's one of the best memories of my life that after meeting my wife Alden, who we were just dating at the time, Roger told me, he said, marry that girl. You finally found your Sheila.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Pretty high praise indeed. And of course, she was right. So in closing, I asked, how fast can we remember Roger and what he brought to our lives? And I suggest that we recommit ourselves to kindness and looking to find the very best in the people around us. Because Roger certainly did that for me, for you, and for my dad. Many of you know that Roger's car license was best of them. What you may not know is that was a play off his company's name, the Best Service Company, and also that our two last names both started with M's, Milstein and Maitland. It was my dad that gave him that license plate, because Roger always saw the best in everyone, and he really was the best of them. Thank you so much.